Good morning, Northwestern. Wow, this is truly an amazing. We are thrilled to be here. We just got here this morning. I'll introduce our family. This is my husband, Dave, Patrick, our 18-month-old son, Allison, 4, and Grace, our hero kid, a first grader. Well, Grace, we call her Amazing Grace. She's friendly, loving, caring, curious, and she loves to dance. We didn't make it last night because the girls were Irish dancing. They Irish dance. And looking at Grace, you would never know she had a health crisis. And she continues to battle a serious chronic illness that has no known cause or a cure. Grace is living with a disease that people never really hear about, and one that is not easily diagnosed. A disease that rarely receives funds for research because it doesn't affect enough of the population. A disease that many doctors never study because she's not your common medical patient. A disease which is considered extremely rare because less than 1 to 2 million people may be diagnosed with it in a year. So we call Grace, or it's safe to say she's 1 in a million. So this journey for our family began in late April of 2013. And our life as we once knew it changed forever. Grace began to wake up in the middle of the night with severe headaches and fevers that began to intensify. After several trips to the pediatrician's office for exams and blood work and allergy testing, we got no answers. We knew something was wrong as our parents. And then Grace started to have episodes of confusion. She was an awesome memory player. And then no longer, finding matches became a very difficult task for her. When she played t-ball, she'd run to third base instead of first base. And then on May 15th, Grace was sitting on my lap, and she had a seizure in my arms. She was transported by ambulance to Hope Children's Hospital. She was intubated in the ER. Doctors were assessing her blood work, CT scans, MRIs, EEGs, all trying to find a diagnosis. They knew something was going on with her brain, but they just didn't know what. We were uncertain if Grace would live with severe neurological disability due to the brain images shown to us on the scans. A few days later, Grace woke up from her sedation, and then she woke up to a world with unfamiliar faces and a flurry of medical specialists. She responded initially to the course of treatment, but a month later she relapsed and was admitted back in the hospital. This time, the scans revealed more neurological damage and loss of sight in her left eye. At this point, we decided to transfer Grace to Lurie's Children's Hospital to seek a second opinion, and they had a high suspicion that Grace had a rare inflammatory brain disease. And in order to test, we would have to wean her off all of her medication. And at this point, Patrick was about to be born into our world. So they let us have Patrick, and then 2 weeks later, Grace relapsed once again. And when Dave went to go pick her up from kindergarten, her balance was off, and this time she could no longer walk. So Grace went through 5 days of straight being put under invasive testing, from MRIs to MRAs to angiograms to spinal taps to finally having a brain biopsy on September 17th that revealed her diagnosis of central nervous system vasculitis, which is an inflammatory brain disease where her own immune system attacks the small blood vessels, causing her to have strokes and neurological damage. Grace was a trooper and super brave. We have a new treatment plan. It involves super high-dose steroids and chemotherapy. The steroids had her gain 25 pounds, and the chemo infusions put her at great risk for infection and many other side effects that we continue to monitor. Grace had to attend day therapy. She had to relearn to walk her kindergarten year and receive OT for all of her fine motor skills. But we are forever grateful for the huge strides towards her recovery. We are celebrating all these little wins and the fact that Grace has been one of the lucky ones so far to be weaned off her steroids, for the last 5 months, and she continues to receive low-dose chemo orally twice a day to keep this disease hopefully quiet. I wish I could stand here this morning and tell you that Grace was miraculously cured, but to be cured, that means the illness will never return. We, nor the doctors, cannot predict or control if, when, or the next flare might happen. Since there is no cure, there is this possibility that her immune system might attack again. But over the past year and a half, the doctors and nurses at Lurie Children's Hospital have literally saved Grace's life from her most critical, sick condition to have her here today as a survivor. But they have been only part of this healing process. The Starlight Foundation has been a huge part of the healing process for our family. After Grace was diagnosed, I searched for some organizations and agencies, but Grace didn't qualify for having a rare disease. It wasn't on that list of illnesses. But until now, Starlight and Northwestern Dance Marathon, you guys have been the organizations that have helped brought so much needed happiness to our family throughout this long journey. Whether we were in the hospital or at home, attending Starlight events, we have had a wonderful opportunity to meet members of the Starlight staff. And actually, last month, as we were waiting for a neurology clinic visit, I think her name was Allison, was volunteering from Northwestern here at the Dance Marathon today and was coloring with my kids, so that was pretty cool. So thank you, Starlight. Thank you, Northwestern. We have met so many other families of courageous children and their families battling these illnesses of their own. Starlight is determined to provide all children who suffer from critical and chronic illness the happiest life experiences possible. And my girls have never, ever left an event or a NUDM event this year without big smiles on their faces. So thank you all for making lives brighter.
All right. Can't believe this crowd. So about a month or so ago, Erica said, I'm going up to Northwestern for the dance marathon. I thought, oh, that's cool. Another event that my kids could go to, and they love coming here. It'll be a great time. And I thought, all right, that's great. And then, Sunday she said, again, hey, Saturday we're going to the dance marathon. And I thought, oh, that's great. You're going to go to the marathon. The kids are going to love it. And she said, well, you're coming with me. I said, all right, no problem. And then on Monday, she said it again, and she goes, oh, and by the way, you're going to speak in front of everybody. So at that point, I kind of thought, well, I kind of got a little bit nervous. And then I said, well, what are we going to talk about? So then she sends me this YouTube video of past speeches, and the speeches were great, but I couldn't help but looking at all the people that were going to be there watching, and I kind of got a little bit nervous. And then I watched the news, and there was something on the news with all of you guys dancing, so I was like, wow, this thing's legit. So I talked to a former Northwestern alum, and I told her what I was doing. She said, that's great. And I said, I'm a little bit nervous. And then the calmness kind of came over me, and she said, Dave, just speak from the heart. So over the last year and a half, there have been many dates that signify tears due to my daughter's illness. But today, March 7th, will be remembered for happy tears. When Grace got sick a year and a half ago, my life changed forever. As I watched my daughter go what she was going through, I put a lot of things into perspective. I watched her do chemo for a day and never complain. Take meds morning and night and never complain. She was just always so happy. They say kids are resilient, and Grace surely is. I promised myself May 15, 2013, that not a day would go by worrying about the future. I've been blessed with 3 beautiful kids and a loving wife. I look at Grace daily, and her toughness and smile inspires me to enjoy life. I don't know all the technical terms of her disease. I don't know a lot when the doctors come in really what they're talking about, nor do I really want to. Jesus. A smile and a hug from Grace, and her saying, I love you, Daddy, is all I need to know. My Grace is doing okay. Every one of you dancers is an inspiration and will hold a special place in our hearts. You are making a difference and life brighter for chronically ill children. Can't believe how much I'm shaking.
Doing great, Dave.
Thanks. Northwestern, I think it's getting worse. Thank you for having the hero families. The kids fighting these illnesses are truly the heroes. My kids love coming up here, and your thoughtfulness, kindness, and lovingness to my kids cannot be thanked enough. Starlight Foundation. No matter what I say, words can honestly not justify my feelings. Growing up, you hear of different foundations and things, but you guys are simply amazing and first class. You guys have embraced my family with open arms, like we are part of your family. For that, I cannot thank you enough. I want you to know that Starlight and Northwestern, you will always be part of my family as well. Thank you guys so much. Dance the night away. Happy St. Patrick's Day to all of you. Have a great day.
Party in the tent, yeah.